What is up, guys? I'm so excited to have our two guests here. In particular, we have my friend Mark Tanner. I wanted to have him on here because he is kind of one of those go-to guys when it comes to anything scratch removal, hard water stain removal. So I'm looking forward to picking his brain today. First of all, how you doing, Mark?
I'm doing well, staying busy,
Good.
enjoying some warmer weather, and it dropped today,
Right.
but nonetheless, we're good to go.
Well, I appreciate making time. I know you're a busy guy, and you also, because you're on the Squeegee Life podcast, you're all hat at this, so I know you're going to do just fine.
I feel like
But
a
I also
social
wanted to
butterfly.
I also want to have Kevin Hargis on here. He's been a guest host for a few times here, and also a guest when we had you over for talk about the solar panel cleaning convention that was there. So he's becoming a fixture on the Squeegee U podcast. So we appreciate you. How you doing, Kev? Uh-oh, he's frozen up there.
Yeah,
He's frozen like in Michigan over there where it's 22 degrees. There he is. How you doing, Kev? Yeah, we got you.
Here, the frozen tundra. We had our I don't know, fourth fault spring or something now, so just rolling with it.
Yeah. So you're doing night work right now, right? Working inside the hotel or the hospitals.
Yeah, and it's nice that we can stay busy. Nights is not obviously an ideal time to work for us, but should be the last week if we don't get another fault spring here.
Right. Well, very cool. Well, I appreciate you guys making time for our meeting here. But Mark, I did want to pick your brain a little bit. But before we do that, I know a lot of people are, especially if you're in the Pro Window Clean group or you listen to Squeegee Life regularly. We're very familiar with you as you are now, and you've been an expert in the industry in a lot of different areas. We're going to also get to talk about your skid mark, which I got to see in person at the Elevate convention. Yep. I'm excited to talk about that and all the work that went into that design. Sure. But would you tell us a little bit about how you got into window clean? First of all, how long have you been doing it? How long have you had your own business, and when you got into scratch removal and hard water stain removal?
Okay. My father started a window cleaning company in 1980. Around 85, when I got out of school, I was a certified marine mechanic for OMC. And about maybe a year and a half into that, the company I worked for shut down. And my father was like, "Hey, why don't you come work with me, get some money in your pocket, and you'll find a job." And I just loved window cleaning, So I stayed with him for 3-4 years. He had a large company with 5 partners, and that didn't work out. So everything got split up, which pretty much left me out of a job. So I did a few odd jobs at the time. Car alarms, stuff like that, but always wanting to get back into window cleaning. And then I went to work for a company that taught me how to do high rise and pressure washing and whatnot. And then in 1998, I started my company. So, and we've been up and down ever since,
Rolling. So when you started, was it just you, or did you have someone else?
It was just me. It was just me, and I had a newborn at home, and I bought a small piece of work from my father, enough to pay the bills basically, and then started to grow it. I learned for marketing, back then, I think the internet was in its infancy. There weren't websites and stuff like this. And you went to the newspaper for a job, but I knew, I had enough work to keep my route work to keep myself busy like 3 days a week. And I soon learned that instead of going out and busting everything out on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I split it up into 5 days, so I was more visible, and it just started to grow. And then within a year, I had enough work where I was working like 6 days a week. And then I realized I'm missing my son grow up. So I bit the bullet and put on my first employee, and then it kind of went.
When was there?
That would be in 99.
99.
Okay. Yeah. Because Scott was born in 2000. So, 99, 2000. I was like, there's no amount of money, that it's not like I'm going to go out and be very wealthy anytime soon. So I didn't want to miss my kid growing up. So, again, I put on an employee. And then my goal was to grow enough to replace the employee's salary, and then it was seamless. And then we started to branch out, and then another employee and another, trained guys. You know, I always found that I'd rather teach someone to do things the way we do them versus hiring someone that already knows how to clean windows, because they come with bad habits a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? Like guys would go out on a route and skip more than they do. You know, and it's like, well, what are you worried about? They're paying. I go, I'm not paying you to skip windows. I can do that for free, right? Think about it.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
100%.
Yeah, we've, you know, Kevin, you guys mentioned hospitals. We clean 3 hospitals now, just windows. I don't do anything inside. I don't even want to go inside. But the tides changed. For a while, I was doing a lot of work for management companies. I wasn't doing any hospitals. Then for 5-6 years, I was doing a lot of college campuses, which, you know, every thing has a different challenge, whether it's students walking around with skateboards on skateboards and you're pressure cleaning, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now we're kind of in a area where we're not really doing the building work anymore, but we're doing a lot of route work, a lot of high-end car dealerships, still have a couple of college campuses, hospitals, stuff like that, you know, and we're 95% commercial, you know. I like to know at the beginning of the month what I've got coming in, whether the phone rings or not. You know what I'm saying? That's always been my comfort zone.
Yeah, that's how 100%. We are too.
Exactly. So
I'm still mostly. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'm still mostly residential. But we've got it down where I don't want. It looks like right now we're slow. So right now we've got about a week's work, and then we got to work hard to kind of fill in next week. You know, that's where we're at.
Right.
And when we get really busy, it goes really well. We do have commercial, but out here it's just like, man, there's so many big companies, and they're doing it for like half of what I would have to charge in order for it to be worth me to do it. You know,
right.
It just seems like it's. I don't know if that's a different side of the country thing, but I know Arizona, and I'm sure Florida. Sorry, bang my microphone there. I'm sure Florida is very similar. There's a lot of window cleaning companies in your area, or no?
Yeah, well, I don't know what is a lot. I mean, people that have come from other states go, you guys got strip malls everywhere. There's commercial work on every corner of every street. And I've been to other states and gone, there's not a lot of work here. And if someone's been here with their foundation 20 years ago, I don't stand a chance to get any of this work. You know what I'm saying? So Florida's, it grows, and it's up and down. It's very transient. I mean, we get firefighters that have a living already and can work for half the price of any of us. Yeah. Just like everywhere else. We have people that retire, come down here, window cleaners retire, sell their routes off, come down here, get bored, and decide to go out and build up a business and stuff. So, you know, I think pricing here in Florida is low compared to a lot of other places, but at the same time, we work year round, you know, so.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't be a good residential company because I'm terrible at budgeting. I'm terrible at management. You know, I'm a good window cleaner, but honestly, when I hear people are not working for 4 months, I would be nervous. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a whole different mindset, and you can have a lot of money in the bank and be mentally broke, and that's not a good thing.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you know, we've gotten to where we hire seasonally. So I have my main crew. And then we hire, you know, like when we get our busy season is in October. So from October to December, the end of December, I'll hire seasonally. So I just tell them right off, look, you've got this job till the end of December, but after that, it's no promises, you know. And then sometimes, like this year, I had one guy who did really well, and I ended up letting one of my other guys go because he had slowly been kind of slacking off a little bit and not hitting his numbers. And it wasn't just because of, you know, having difficult time. It was like he was being lazy. He was purposely staying later at jobs than he should, you know, parking in front 15 minutes before he started, that type of stuff.
The one thing people don't realize when they hire employees is everything that's going on in their life, and a lot of things you might not be aware of, is going to affect their work ethic. You know, like I had a kid that was a great window cleaner, and he was a huge Xboxer, you know, a gamer, let's say. So I knew my kids would tell me when a new game was coming out, because if it was a game everybody's playing, he wasn't coming to work on Monday. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and that's a challenge, you know, and, you know, I had work that belonged to my father for 20 years, and then now I'm cleaning it. I'm going to put this kid for 15 bucks an hour to wash those storefronts, it's hard to relinquish that control. But you got to get the right people, you know. I mean,
yeah, for sure. And know why you're hiring them too. You know, I always say I hire employees and I hire window cleaners. So I recognize the employees. That's not going to be what they're going to do for the rest of their life. They're filling a need. That's usually I got a vacancy on the crew. They're going to fill that need until they find something else, and then I'll look again. But then you've got people who are actually window cleaners. They love the work. They care about the quality. They care about their customer service. And those guys you want to treat good, and those guys you have a longer view of them, you know, that they're going to be with you're wanting to keep them with the company longer.
Exactly. You know, one of the first things that I do when I do an interview and a one-on-one interview is the first question I'll ask them is, why do you want to clean windows? Be honest with me. The first thing that comes is what I want to hear. You know what I'm saying? You just need a job to pay your bills, or are you interested in growing with the company, or have you know someone that was a window cleaner? You know, do you have it in your family, or have you done this before? Those are key things. That answer is going to dictate if that's, like you said, a dedicated employee. I mean, I got an employee that's supposed to be 19 years. You know what I'm saying? And that's gold. He's been offered jobs because he's completely qualified to do any aspect of window cleaning, from high rise to residential, you know, to storefronts. And he's well rounded. And he's like, I got it too good here. It's not about money. You know, I'm not babysat. I'm expected to do what I do when I go home. And that's the way I want my employees to be.
Yes. Excellent. Awesome. And I know Kevin hires that way too. Of course, he's got his daughter in there, and she's probably meaner than he is. So,
yeah, you don't want to cross her.
That's a good thing. Thing.
Yeah, she's really taken to that, because we made her field operations manager last year, and she takes it seriously. She goes out and she's making sure she knows what's going on. She does ask for help when she needs it. So if there's especially when we're working in hospitals. You know, as we work in 4 and obviously inside too. Sometimes there are awkward situations that I need to go, help out with. But for the most part, or unless it's a new house that's, pretty cut up and there's a lot of challenges to it. But that empowerment to an employee to feel good about what they're doing and put that extra effort in, because they know that now their name is also hanging on that job.
Right.
It makes a big difference with the quality and just the overall attitude of the crew, anyone that's working underneath them. It just really helps. And then it helps me mentally, because I know if we're gone, if we're going to a convention, if we're going away anywhere, or I can't be on a job, I don't have to worry. It's going to get taken care of and handled. And that's a nice peace of mind to be able to have.
Yeah, I've always found that if you treat an employee, like for instance, whenever we'd pick up a new building, and even when I wasn't doing it anymore, I would obviously do the soliciting and the proposal and meeting with the building manager and everything. I would bring all the guys in and we'd go do a roof survey together. We'd check out all the different, where we think we should start, where we think we should finish, which way's the sun moving type thing, and include them in decisions, because they feel more than just a job there. It's important.
Definitely.
Yeah, you got to treat them with respect. My father used to tell me, don't become friends with your employees. I go, well, I've worked for guys I can't stand. I don't want to be that guy. You know what I'm saying? That I want them to respect me as a boss, but also know if they need something or they're unhappy about something, they can come talk to me about it. Well,
you can have a respectful, relationship with your employees that doesn't necessarily have to crawl into best buddy territory.
Right.
But I think like what you said, because they're the ones out there all the time, and like I'm out in the field maybe twice a week anymore. So they're the ones who are seeing the stuff. They know how the equipment's running. They know what needs to be changed. They know what system that we have in place that isn't working anymore. Maybe it worked 2 or 3 years ago, but now with the new employees or new customers, that system needs to be. So if they feel free to be able to talk with, you and share, hey, Gabe, I know you want us to do it this way, but XYZ, since this happened, I think it might be better to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, Yeah, why wouldn't you listen to that? Why would you be so proud, so have so much pride that you can't just say, hey, might be a better solution, maybe we should do it this way. So
anytime
yeah.
anytime that somebody comes to me and asks what should I do, the first question or the first thing out of my mouth is, what do you think you should do? You start getting them to think ahead,
Right.
And eventually they'll just know that that's what's going to come out of your mouth.
Right. You get it in
And
their
they come
mindset.
to you with say, okay, so I'm not exactly sure, but here's what I was thinking. Okay, yeah, you're dead on. Go run with it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
yeah,
Right.
that is probably going to work fine. Maybe just change this a little bit here. Oh,
Right.
yeah. And then, like you were saying, go out and take them out on jobs. We do that all the time. It's like, okay, what do you guys think? Where do you want to start? How do you want to handle this? And then again, it's their input, it's their
Right.
idea, and
Right. It's more of a team,
Mhm.
teamwork, and then you have your personality conflict between people. I remember I hired a kid. I needed help. We were doing 60 college buildings, and we had a deadline. And I hired a kid that worked. He was not working, and he worked for another window cleaner for many years, but residential side mostly. And he's like, the first thing out of his mouth is, or one of the first things was, I'm the fastest window cleaner that Central Window Cleaning has. And I go, let me explain something to you. You need to leave that in your head. I go, because if you show up wanting to be the fastest window cleaner, I go, guys are all competitive. They're going to eat your lunch.
Yep.
Okay. So if you're good at what you do, they'll respect you and you'll fit in. If you walk around cocky, this isn't going to work because they've been here a long time. And the first thing, you could be a threat. You know what I'm saying? So getting people that fit together like this is crucial to making the team work.
Mm-hmm.
I had one guy who, longtime window cleaner, or at least he said, he ended up being like the slowest dude I ever hired.
Yeah.
Man. But he comes in saying, hey, I've been cleaning windows for 30 years. I'm going to be your best employee. And I said, oh, okay. And he goes, yeah. He goes, in fact, I'm going to make everybody else feel bad that they're not as good as me or whatever, something like that. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
Look, man, I'm looking for someone who gets along with my employees, not someone
Right.
who's going to come and make them feel bad. So if you can't do that, I don't think I want to, but anyway, he didn't last but maybe 3 months.
If someone comes to me,
let him go.
someone comes to me and they're unemployed and I hire them, they have a 30-day period. Okay. And it's just always the way I've done it. I've had guys come to me after 3.5 weeks and go, well, do I have a job? Yeah, you have a job.
Yeah.
We're at the end of the month in 30 days. I go, but you're in the apprentice mode right now, even though you know what you're doing. Okay. It's more important to me. I don't care if you're fast, as long as you're meticulous, that's fine. Fast and meticulous is a better thing. I go, but you have to get along with these other guys. Because like I said before, they'll eat your lunch if you're not careful, if you're not paying attention. So
I do exactly the same thing. I have a probationary period. So I tell them, hey, look, you've got this job for a month. And then at the month we'll talk, because it may not work for them, right? I may be happy with their work, but they may decide, hey, this isn't for me. And I want them to have an out too. I don't want them feeling like they're obligated to stay, But that also leaves me, because I figure, 1 week, 2 week, you can put your best foot forward. But by 3, 4 weeks, you're going to start showing some stuff if you're faking it. So
not only that, I've been told, and usually this, not always, but a lot of times comes true. You hire somebody within 30 days, you'll usually realize something about them that you might not have hired them. So that's why I have the 30-day rule. If everything's working fine, and I know in 2 weeks that they're going to make it, then they're let loose into the program.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me take a break real quick to say hi to some people in the chat. We've got Adam Hogan in, Tyler Blue. We've got Squeegee Chick's in. Peter Cruz is in. He's one of our longtime supporters here. Charles D. Smith. Kevin Hargis made an appearance. That's a coincidence. Jake Van Orden's in. He's a good buddy. Cornerstone Window Cleaning. Damon. He's in here. We've got Eric Rogers. Fletcher. Oh, Fletcher's in. Awesome. Nice.
Fletcher.
I'm still gonna buy your soaps, Fletcher. I haven't done it yet, but I will buy it and test it out for you. But I have high hopes for it for sure. Oh, Miguel Lopez. Hey bud, how you doing, man? I haven't talked to you in a little while. Good to see you. And Jamie Hallman's in. Squeegee Tom is in. Let's see. I think that's John Trotta's in. What's up, dude? We got a good crowd. Oh, Mike Nichols. How could we not have this interview? Not have
Gotta love Mike.
Squeegee
So yeah,
check
he
is
sent me
here,
some
too.
interesting pictures. I didn't use them, but yeah, he sent me some good pictures of you there, Mark.
I figured.
Anyways,
Yeah.
we're gonna thank you for all checking. Everyone who comments on the podcast, I'm gonna do an entry for one of our hats. So we've got 3 hats left for that I made for the convention. I will be making a bunch more, have them on the website for sale, but for right now, I've got 3 left that I want to give away. So I'll put a drawing in at the end of the podcast. We'll go ahead and pick a winner for the hat. But now I do want to get into some questions about hard water stain and scratch removal. You're pretty, I know for me, now I've been doing scratch removal about 6 years. I'm decent at it. You know, it's not my favorite thing to do, but I can definitely take out scratches. I especially handle hard water stains. We do it a lot. But you're one of those people that if I have questions, I'm going to come and ask you, hey, how
Sure.
would you handle this, Mark? And in fact, when people call me asking for advice, if it's something that I haven't seen, I send them to you. So I'm glad that we have you on, because we do have some questions and also some kind of myths, some things that I hear on the Facebook groups quite a bit about people when it comes to especially hard water stain removal. And I wanted to get what would you say if someone had told you this or said this in your presence, and that way we can kind of dispel some of these myths. So
Sure.
first one, it's with hard water stain. So I see this a lot of the groups. Someone will say, hey, how do you get this off? And someone will say, oh, that's hard water stains. All you got to use is some CLR and some steel wool. Use some elbow grease, and it's going to come right out. So how would you respond to that?
The first thing you need to realize is glass restoration is not a science experiment. If you treat it like a science experiment, meaning throw everything that you read online at a window, there's a good chance that you're going to do some damage that's probably going to cost you more than what you were initially charging to do the repair, right? Identifying the window, meaning does it have a pyrolytic coating? Does it have a low E coating? Is that coating on the surface I'm about to attack? And if you have any of those, you never want to put anything on it right away, especially an acid-based chemical, because you're going to have problems. So, I mean, you can buy a glass meter. I have one that will tell you how much tin, TIN, is on the surface of the glass. Okay, because as you know, when they manufacture glass, it's liquid glass on molten tin, and a certain amount of tin is absorbed naturally into the glass. That's always supposed to be an interior surface, but it isn't. And the industry protects itself by saying it's okay if it's on the outside. And that's why you'll see, and I get at least one a month, someone hazed a window as soon as they touched it with an acid. Okay, I have a simple meter. You put it on the glass, you push the button, it tells you there's going to be a tin on both sides, but it's going to identify the tin side in a number. Like over 400, you got a lot of tin there. Don't attack it with anything acid-based. And then you try the other side of the glass, it might come in at, 3% tin. So you're safe. I don't recommend CLR. Don't really recommend most of the acids out there, only because they're used improperly. And I've used them, and I've burned glass. I mean, I'm not gonna sugarcoat any of that. It happens. If and generally acids only work on calcium, not really silicates or anything else like that. And once again you start putting all these different chemicals on the glass, there's usually an adverse reaction to it that you're in trouble. Now you own that. So I always recommend, and look, when someone says try this in an inconspicuous area, you tell me what's an inconspicuous area of a window, right? You look through the whole entire thing. Yeah, if you got one in the bushes down low and it's full of leaves down there, you could try it in the corner.
Yeah.
But so if you get a good meter, my meter will read if it's pyrolytic coating, it'll read if it's low E coating, it'll read if it's a lot of tin in the glass. And if it's not, then, if you protect yourself and protect the surrounding areas, you can use those chemicals. But again, without, spraying oven cleaner. I think oven cleaner, since when self-cleaning ovens came out like 20 years ago, is harder to find. So now they've reverted to toilet bowl cleaner, which is an acid base. Yeah. And I'm like, anytime I do a repair for a homeowner that went on the internet and tried this stuff, it usually costs them a lot more for me to reverse the damage they did. Mm-hmm. I'm like, if you would have just called me right away, that would have been $50, but now it's $150 because I got to resurface the glass. So, and I don't really respond too much anymore to these things because I'm just like standing on my soapbox preaching and no one's listening. You know what I'm saying? So identify the glass, okay? Identify what type of stain. Is it a sprinkler stain? Is it a silicate stain because the concrete's not sealed and it has brick and mortar and it's been leaching on the glass for 20 years, okay? Your acids aren't going to touch that, Could you use Diamond Magic? Sure. Those are great products, but when you do them the way I do it with a polisher, you're spinning ground diamonds, like 40,000 grit diamonds. It will swirl the glass, but with your hand, it's pretty safe to do. It's tedious, and but I just reverted back to I scrape it down with a scraper, soap and water, get all the heavy mineral out, and put my polisher on it. And 9 times out of 10, I can achieve perfect results without damaging it. Either the polish works or it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I rarely use an acid. I mean, it's got to be a good reason for me to use acid anymore. But I get a lot of comments when I'm using the polisher. Oh, why, this is way overkill. Why are you doing that? You should just use an acid and do that, blah, 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 or like what I was saying earlier about the steel wool and then the CLR, that's all you need. Why do you prefer to use a polisher as opposed to, you mentioned a little bit about the dangers with acid, but is there any other reason why?
Yeah, there's the main reason is, and this happened to me. We acid washed a building that was about 20 years old that had mineral and runoff from the above floors. And I didn't know much, but I'm like, well, hey, Crystal Clear is cleaning these windows up good. And we acid washed the building. It looked great. And within 2 years, the stains were back worse than before we attacked them with the acid. And the reason, it's all theory. The big corporations haven't stepped into this enough to where there's real scientific evaluations. But in my opinion, when you acid wash glass, you leave it in a very raw state, meaning like a dry sponge, just waiting to soak something up. And, that building looked horrible. They're like, what can we do now? And that's when I started playing around with polishing and everything and ended up polishing the entire building. And the stains didn't come back because you kind of close the pores on the glass when you polish it. And you know what? A polished glass, they don't polish glass very often when it's new. It's if there's a repair or an issue with it that they polish glass. I can make glass slicker than it came out of the manufacturer. You know what I'm saying? Even the way it sheds water, you're changing it from, hydrophobic to hydrophilic just by polishing it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a few people asking, actually a couple people, Jason Lehman and Cornerstone Window Clean. They want to know where you get that meter that registers the tin.
Oh, CR Lawrence has one that's relatively affordable. It's about $300 maybe. But look at CR Lawrence and then you can get the exact identification and then cross that over and see other brands. But I mean, they'll go into thousands of dollars and they'll read everything about the glass. But a simple $300 one, a matter of fact, I'll take a picture of mine and put it on your page.
Okay.
It's relatively affordable, real easy to use. And, a simple test is also, was down south this afternoon. A young guy damaged some pyrolytic coating, and unfortunately, there's no bringing it back. But a simple test of putting your finger on the glass, look to the side. If you can see the bottom of your finger, the tip, that means you're not touching the surface that you're going to attack with something, right? But if you can clearly see the bottom of your finger, there's a gap there, meaning the coating is on the inside surface. So you're safe. Yeah. That's a very simple way and very crude, but it does work. Yes. So yeah, CR Lawrence has a tin meter, coating meter.
Awesome. We actually have a question here that I think I want to replace one of the other questions I was going to ask you, because this is, and you actually just posted about it not too long ago. It says, Jake Van Orden says, Mark Tanner, do you seal windows at all? Like if it's in a sprinkler area, throw some invisible shield and polish it in?
Yes. I only have one product that I'll promote, and it's only because I haven't looked at anything in the past 5 years. But on that same building that we did the acid wash and then had to polish it, we took a Sharpie pen on a 4x6 window and made a grid, and I bought everything that was known to seal glass, even Rain-X, which I hate to admit, but we wrote Rain-X, we wrote,
It's data.
Freestar.
It's data.
Yes. And we left it and we put it on a sunny side of a building and waited 30 days and took a garden hose to it. And the only thing that was still working was the Nanovations product that I've promoted often.
Yep.
Yeah,
you told me about that. And that is
right.
That's all I'll buy now. That's all I'll buy.
It's got a 5-year warranty on restored glass and a 10-year on brand new glass. So if you have a shower enclosure, you put that on before you even take your first shower, you're good for a while, So yeah, a complete package of a restoration would be clean and, restore and then seal, and obviously if they don't fix fountain or sprinklers or whatever is damaging the glass, then, they're going to be back to square one if they don't seal it.
Yep. 100%. Excellent.
Yeah. The other thing to keep in mind when people ask the questions about the acid, it's not just the glass. I've had a few people that have called me and said, what do I do? Because they smoked the frames.
Yeah.
And well, now you really have a hard thing to work with. So it's not just the glass that you have to be worried about when you're putting those harsh acids. And the tendency is to go with that really heavy stuff. Like, again, 550 works great. One Restore works great because it, in your mind at least, because as immediately you put it on and stuff starts to disappear, you're like, oh, perfect. And then you dry the window and it's hazy or it's etched or something, and then again your frames are screwed up. It's okay now.
Right, you're right. Take a piece of aluminum and stick it in a bucket of crystal clear 550 and wait 2 days and see what happens. Because if you think you're getting it all off, it's weeping in between the frames, the sills, the paint. I mean, I've seen guys discolor streak paint on a house. It costs you a lot more to repaint that than you got to fix that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you're correct. Now, I would also recommend, if you are a fan of using those acids and you've done the due diligence to make sure that it's a safe piece of glass to put an acid on, put the Nanovations on after that. That will take away from that raw that I discussed earlier versus polishing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And we'll put a link to the Nanovations, to buy that product as well, because I've only been using it since then. I've been super happy with it. I had used a couple other products, and there's some cheaper stuff out there you can buy, that's just kind of a generic sealer, very similar to like Rain-X,
Yeah.
But that Nanovations, man, it works so well.
Well,
it really does.
We put it on a fountain. We have in a mall, the elevator goes down into what looks like a fountain, and the fountain spray in the elevator, just barely hitting it 8 hours a day. And I went to the mall manager because I was doing entranceways, and he's like, 5 other window cleaners have come in and said they could fix that. What makes me think you can do that? I go, it's no charge. Let me do one window. And we polished it out, Nanovationed it. And a month later, when we looked at it, there were spots on it, but you took a white pad to it and it came right off. And we've been there ever since, Yeah. So it does work, I mean, I'm not saying other products don't work. I'm just saying that product works well. Now, the only thing with the Nanovations, especially on a tinted window per se, meaning not perfectly clear, you can't put it on in the sun because you will swirl it. Yeah. If you put it on in the sun and it dries as you're wiping it in with microfiber, whatever you choose to use, you can leave some swirls that, trust me, are even hard to polish out. So you got to, you might have to show up late that day when the sun's on the other side.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. So another question, this is more just common questions that I get. So people will say, hey, I've got a client, he's got some scratches in his window, blah, 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 or hard water. And then I tell them kind of how you would handle it or what you could do, then they say, well, what should I do before I get into that? So what advice, if someone came to you and says, look, I'd love to add hard water stain removal, I'd love to add scratch removal to my list of services, where would you recommend they start? How do they get into that?
Well, there's several, the guys from Glass Renew do training. I do training, I don't interact with a lot of these guys and some of them are very good. I've got some local guys that are really good at what they do. Unfortunately it's really very hard to learn on watching a video. So hands-on training, I've always taught stain removal first before scratch removal, because becoming familiar with the polisher, Gabe, you can understand that holding that polisher and making it do what you want it to do versus it controlling you is crucial.
Yes.
So I'll always teach stain removal first, and then I'll teach scratch removal or glass erosion next, because the polishing is the second, third, or fourth step of, depending on what system you're using for your final result. So yeah. And let me just go into one more thing. Whatever polisher you use, I mean, people say, oh, just put it on a drill or use an orbital polisher. Orbital polisher is designed to do paint on a car pretty much, okay? Where I come from and the process that I use, heat and friction are your friend. That's what rips the stains off the glass, okay? Yeah, it's better than using your hands, an orbital, okay? But just showing up with a car buffer and some aluminum oxide compound is not usually going to work. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I know this, the polish that I've
What
sent
brand?
out to people. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, what brand do you use?
I blend my own polishes with multiple.
Oh no, I meant
ingredients.
as far as what you're using to do
Oh,
the,
Makita 9227. Yeah, the
Yep, that's what I
Makita.
use.
I've bought them all. The big thing with the Makita is the speed recovery is the best, meaning when it starts to drag down on the glass and you have it set on 2000 RPM and it slows down to 1500, there's going to be inconsistencies in your repair. So you want it spinning at exactly what you have it set on. So yeah, I've bought the Bosch, I've bought Milwaukee, I've bought all of them. I think that my go-to is the Makita.
Yeah. I went cheap when I first started, just because, you know, I was looking at the price of the higher end, you know, grinders, and I was just like, man, I can't do that. So I was doing like the Harbor Freight and getting the warranty, and then as soon as it went out, I just swap it. And then I finally broke down and got a Makita, and I just like, oh my gosh, it's just night and day. It's just so much more control. It makes it look so much nicer. I'm not fighting with it as much. That's the number one advice I give if you're going to get into it, is get a quality grinder, and just don't waste the money on it.
I've tried, I'll be honest, I've tried so many I've tried water polishers for, you know, like honing marble and stuff that spin 10,000 RPM. I've tried them injecting water into the, you know, pure water into it, and made adapters and fittings to make it work. And I've just gone back to the Makita, you know, it's just my go-to.
All right. Very cool. All right. So something else that I think people say a lot, let's just ask this question. So what are some common mistakes that you see when people get into it? Like maybe you've even come to a job after someone has tried to remove scratches or tried to get rid of hard water stains. What are some things that you commonly see people make?
Most of the time it's chemical related. You know, I've fixed, you remember when you're a kid, they had a tool called a spirograph. It was plastic gears, and you stick a pen in it and spin them, and it would make weird shapes. Well, I've seen that all over glass of guys trying to spin diamond pads or spin, you know, any of those abrasive products. You know, it's generally inexperienced, just reading something online and saying, hey, let's give this a whack. But, you know, most people know, if they take the time to reach out to me through private message, I will give them my time on the telephone and say, send me some pictures and here's what I would do, you know, because what I do is, if I send you some polish, Gabe, and a pad, right? So I'll impregnate my pads with polish. So all you have to do is wet them. Okay. And as you're using them, the polish is naturally coming out. Then you add more polish as you need it. And I love a wore out polishing pad versus a new one, because it's already got that memory of, it knows what I'm about to do to it type of thing. I mean, Mike Nichols can attest to this. Eddie Stewart can attest to this. Zane can attest to this, because they've all come and worked with me. What I give you isn't going to damage glass. It's either going to work or it's not. You know what I'm saying? But you're not going to be on the hook for it, any damaging. So you always need to make sure you think about what you're about to do, because every piece of glass will also react differently. 2 in a row from the same manufacturer, you know this, Gabe, in scratch removal, one's going to cut real fast and the other one's going to fight you back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep. Very good. And just great advice about starting with hard water stain. You know, I get some people asking me, hey, I want to do this. I found this job and they're asking me to do it. And how can I learn this really quick? And I'm just like, man, why don't you pass on that job for now?
Right.
Start working on hard water stain removal. Get used to how it feels, how it feels moving, moving it around the glass, how the pad feels against the glass, because that's it's all in the control. And that's what I struggled with when I first did it, because I bought the system, the Glass Renew system first, and I was just doing it on my own, watching videos, kind of like what you said, and I was just struggling with it. And it probably took me a good 6 months of working on hard water stains before I gained enough control to be able to handle the scratch removal.
Right. Well, what I used to do was I used to mess with mirrors. Mirrors look back at you. So if you can fix a mirror, then you can certainly fix a window. Mirrors will usually break between 150 and 175 degrees every time. You know what I'm saying? So you have to watch the heat with a mirror. But I used to go to all the installers around and say, hey, you got any glass that is cut wrong or damaged that you're going to scrap? Can I have it? And I'd go in my shop and beat it up for hours, take carbide scribes to it, throw it out in the sprinklers for a couple of weeks and let it get stained up, throw some acid on it, see what it's going to take to restore it, nice. And that's pretty much free. It's just your time at that point. That's what I did.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing to really keep in mind, a lot of times people are asking, how do you differentiate yourself from the competition? And yet when they're online and they're getting all this advice, what the common phrase that's used is, what's the cheapest way I can get into this? Or what's the cheapest tool I can buy? If you go to a customer's house and they have, or a building, commercial building, and they have hard water and they ask if you can get it off, you say, I need to do some testing first. And you get your meter out and you get all your professional tools out and you say, okay, so here's what we can do with that. This is the process that we would use. And here's the investment that would be for you. They're going to be much more likely to pay a higher price for that service because you've done all the legwork behind it and they can see that you're professional.
Right.
We have a customer, it's one of the only monthly residential customers I've ever had. It's not very common up here. And this lady is meticulous about her house, absolutely meticulous. And they had a front big window in the front with two side windows, and the sprinklers hit them. So I asked her if she wanted that gone, and she said, oh yeah, absolutely. And then I upsold the window seal, and I said, so I can seal this too. I said, I'm not going to lie to you, it's pretty expensive, but I guarantee that it's going to last this long, and it'll keep the windows from getting etched and all that. And I said it's $250 for 3 windows.
Right.
It's like, do it immediately. Just do it.
Yeah.
And that's because of the professionalism that you go into it with. So getting set up the right way with the right training and the right tools and the right equipment and the right chemicals will be one of those things that can set you apart. And then, you're off to the races at that point.
Absolutely. I mean, I had that picture that I put up on Pro the other day with the perfect square polished out.
Yes.
I actually taped that up with a piece of tape. I did tape that. There's no way to make a perfect square with a round disc, but
right.
that was on a job.
I was going to say, you're really good, Mark, if you did that by hand.
Yeah, my hands aren't that steady. I did that sample on, that was a sample on a building, and there was another company that only does metal and glass restoration, and we both did samples, and then they called me to come back, and I went back, and I could see they were playing a little of a game to see who I was by saying, well, the other guy, he said that you're nothing but a window cleaner that is pretty good at polishing glass, but he specializes in restoration. And I go, well, which sample looks better, mine or his? They said yours. I said, okay, then I'm not here to bash anybody. This is what I could do for you. This is what it's going to cost. Are we going to work together?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And you had also something that you do really, that I do as well. And I think it's really important because in the mindset that we have is, look, we want to get the job, we want to do the bid and make the money. But I remember one of your posts, and I don't remember if it was a recent one or not, but you had said something to the effect of, you talked to a customer, you told them the pricing, and you were like, look, I gotta make sure the customer is getting what they need out of it. So in some cases, when it's a really, really bad, it may be better for them just to buy a new window. The amount of labor it's going to take
Right.
for me. Oh, I think it was the one you had posted on the
Welding burn.
welding
Yeah.
flag, yeah.
Yeah.
And how much work goes into fixing something like that, and that in those cases it may be so deep that it's you just really got to buy a new window, because
Yeah.
the
I
amount
mean,
of labor you're gonna have to charge to make it worth your time is going to be very comparable to getting a new window, you know.
yeah, and
So,
and if the results aren't gonna, if they're so deep that you're gonna have a fun house mirror, you know, you got two
Yeah.
options. You tell them up front, it's not gonna be perfect. There's gonna be some waves in it,
Yep.
but it's gonna be a lot better than what you got going. Or I recommend you have it replaced. You know, I've done some weld burn. I try to shy away from it, because once you get the metal out of the glass, it wreaks havoc on the repair, and then you're fixing that. But there are certain instances where it's a specific color glass or it's old and they can't get it replaced. And, you know, I'll also tell them I'll get the metal out, which is going to leave what I would call a pock mark, you know, the deepest part of the damage. And it's going to be white because that's the color of my polish. And because the polish is superheated with the process, that polish is going to be in there for 6 months, even if you have a window cleaner. And eventually the polish is going to go away and you're just going to have a little divot in the glass. If you can accept that, then let's move forward with it.
That's exactly what I tell customers when they want to, you know, either, or maybe it's like from cutting tile and there's like little, you know, thing, you know,
that's really bad.
Embedded.
Tile chips.
Look, I can grind this down if you want, but you know, you got to understand, even though it's a little mark, it's so deep that I'm going to have to spread out that polishing so far,
right,
that you're risking having a fisheye, or risking having some type of unevenness. Wouldn't it be better just for me to take that little black mark out and just have a little spot?
Right. It'll stop the rusting, because that's when they notice it, when it starts to oxidize and rust, and then it leaches down the glass, you know. And the first thing a window cleaner does, and we're all guilty of, is take a scraper to it, right? And it just breaks the blade on the scraper and laughs at you like, yeah, this is not coming out, you know. So they're hit or miss. Grinder sparks are usually a lot easier than a weld burn, because the grinder's not as hot, you know.
Yeah. And they don't go as deep either. So, but it's still a mess either way. Just you want to manage your customers' expectations and help them to make a decision that they're comfortable with. You know,
right. Well, setting the customer's expectations is important. Yeah.
100%. Thank you so much. I will probably have to have you on again, because I know there's a bunch of other things I want to talk to you about, scratch removal and hard water stain removal. But I want to make sure that before you leave, we talk about something you did, which I think was just really cool. You took the time and you developed your own skid, and it's called the Skid Mark. If you've on Pro Windows, no doubt you've seen it, or you've seen videos on it. So I do want to talk a little bit about the work that went into that, because I got to see it in person. It is really well put together, and I love organization. Everything is where it needs to be. So I'm going to play a video. This is off of Zane, who's Mike Nichols' kid, and he's there with the window guys. He did a really nice review on it. You can watch the full video on YouTube if you want, but I'm just going to play the part where he breaks down each component on there. So let me play that real quick. If you guys want to, now he's going to talk in it, but if you wanted to say something, just make sure you unmute yourself, because it automatically mutes us when I play a video. So let me play it.
Let's check out the Skid Mark. So, taking a look at the Skid Mark 2.0, you can tell from the footage that this thing is an absolute beast. This skid is equipped with a 50-gallon holding tank to store your pure water, so it can hold 50 gallons of purified water. As far as purification, it's got a 40-inch high-flow reverse osmosis membrane and a 40-inch DI cartridge. It's equipped with chloramine and sediment pre-filters, and your DI and RO housings are going to be stainless housings, so very high quality, durable housings on those. You'll also notice that it's equipped with a Cox hose reel with 150 feet of 3/8 hose. that can easily be connected to either high flow tubing or standard 5/16 tubing. The skid is equipped with 2 pumps. You can either run the twin pumps simultaneously for extra rinse power, or run 1 pump and always have a backup. The skid is also equipped with an accumulator to keep even steady flow from the pumps. Everything is sealed in an easy access electrical box. It's got all the bells and whistles as far as your electrical side. It includes a volt gauge, LED lighting, charge on the go capabilities through an active cigarette lighter port, extra wiring hookups for additional accessories if you need them. It's got everything you could want from a skid. As far as the actual construction of the skid, you're looking at aluminum and steel construction with an industrial 2-part urethane coating. Everything is handmade right here in the USA, made with American steel and aluminum. Quick connect fittings on everything that's stainless so that you can do your filter maintenance super easy. With these custom built skids, ease of use is definitely in mind when they are constructed. So you're not going to have to worry about having to deconstruct the whole skid just to do some routine maintenance such as filter changes or changing out your resin. Everything is easy access. As you can also see, the skids are absolute tanks. So super durable, high quality materials. You can easily throw a ladder on top and it'll hold it no problem. If you want to throw it in a trailer, if you want a custom water fed trailer, you can easily put it in a trailer. If you want to slide it in the back of a truck, you can also do that as well. So with this skid, it's really made to fit whatever you need it to do. Like I said, they are custom built, so they can fit whatever need you have as far as wanting to get into an on-demand water fed system.
Hopefully you guys got the most of that. I don't know why it was choppy. It was running smoothly earlier, so sorry about that. But yeah, it's an awesome skid. So can you tell us a little bit about some of your design ideas, things that you wanted to make sure when you were starting to engineer the skid? What was important to you, and what you made sure that it was included so that it would help the person using it?
The first skid is over 10 years old now, and it was just had a simple 40-inch or 30-inch DI cartridge on it. And I would fill it up at home. I have a whole house RO, so I'm only at like 20 TDS. So, and I basically built it because I had a group of furniture stores that didn't always have water and 40-foot entranceways of glass. I wanted to see if I can water fed them, bring my own water type thing. And then I literally bought a tank and all the plumbing and steel and just put it on the floor of my shop and said, okay, this is the footprint it needs, and start to build it from there. It's drastically changed over 10 years. Like I said, I kind of figured simple was the best because less stuff to go wrong. And then through the years, we've added, the ROs and the chloramine filters and sediment filters and twin pumps and accumulators and everything else. And then I would just take them out and use them and find out what was the weak point, from relays to contactors to solenoids and the electrical components, trying to figure out, because, if someone is using it and it goes down, what do you do? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not everybody can figure out electrical components or whatever. So it has to be simple and functional. And the design kind of evolved over, 4 or 5 times. That's kind of my problem, because I always foresee something else, a new cool thing to do to it. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, you got to slow down and just build it this way. But I try to source the best materials I can, and I didn't want it to look like somebody put it together in a backyard shop, when in fact it was built in a backyard shop. There's, I have better tools than most people, but it's not an automated thing. Like I'll go out on a Saturday and cut all the 1.5 inch tubing, all of the angles and everything, and just pile them up and then fit everything together, start tacking things together, do the layout, and then it completely has to come apart, and it's completely coated with the polyurethane and then reassembled. That's kind of the fun part. The rest of it is, a lot of measuring and fitting, and when you weld something, it always shrinks. You know what I'm saying? So you try to keep everything square. So I kind of and then it kind of want to make it look pretty cool too. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
I've told people, listen, you don't need this. You can get a piece of plywood and screw a pump to it and an accumulator and rig up some wiring and have something that achieves the same thing, but it's evolved to something that's very efficient. People don't realize when you just flip one switch and pull a hose and hook your water fed to it and you're working instantly, don't have to fill it, have a feed hose, don't have to have all that stuff. It makes you money. You know what I'm saying? So they're a lot of work. They're still at like 40 hours to build one. So I kind of juggle between my window cleaning schedule and everything, and I won't send it out if it's not square. I want it to be right if someone's going to pay good money for a piece of equipment.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and it definitely is a time saver because we only run tanks in our trucks now.
Right.
And we can literally pull up on a job. Now we're running 100-gallon tanks, so we can go a little bit longer, but
right.
Because we're a little bit more spread out here, but we can literally pull up on a job and all you got to do is run hose and flip the pump on and you're cleaning. So again, you don't have to get anything out of the truck or van. You don't have to worry about water getting all over the place. You just flip the switch and go. That's all the only way that we'll run now.
Yeah. I mean, that's the first thing that everybody pointed out. Two things people pointed out. I thought it was a lot bigger when they saw it in person. It's as big as it needs to be. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was bigger. And how is it such a time saver? And Kevin just nailed it right there. Everybody that's got one has said, oh my God, I literally flip a switch and it'll make water as fast as you're using it. Obviously, depending, Seth had 4 poles running on his with twin pumps running at the same time. Now you're sucking down a lot of water and he's filling it, but every couple hours you take a break, let it top off and you're good to go again.
Yep.
So never planned on, the one thing you got to realize too is taking your hobby and turning it into something that is for financial gain or making a product is no longer a hobby. You know what I'm saying? And I never want to hate. So I have to keep my mind in the game. You understand what I'm saying? Slow down, build these skids, and don't look at it as no longer a hobby. You know what I'm saying? Because when you build things in design, my mind is always going crazy. What's the next innovation? You know what I'm saying? And that's probably what keeps me sane because I don't have to think about window cleaning all the time. I think about other things that I can produce.
So what size truck bed can these go into?
I have a short bed Super Duty with a toolbox, and it's 60 inches long. So if you can measure 60 inches front to back, it'll fit in your truck. They can fit in a one of those little, not a Sprinter van, but the little Sprinter van. What do they call that? You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's making a Sprinter van.
Transit?
A Transit. They'll fit in a Transit. They won't fit in a Maverick in this configuration. But at the same time, listen, when I had to have my truck serviced, we put my skid in my son's Ford Ranger, and you feel it back there in a Ford Ranger. So, when you start to think about the capacity of the truck, I think with water, it's probably weighing in at 600-700 pounds. The skid empty is 240 something pounds. Okay. So then you're adding 50 gallons at 7.5, 8 pounds a gallon, but yeah, they'll fit a short bed 1/2-ton pickup truck or a small truck. They'll fit fine,
Very cool. And I do appreciate how accessible everything is that needs to be changed. I think that's a design flaw in some of the skids that I've seen, where you're going to have to take things apart to be able just to replace filters that you're supposed to have to replace, and keeping it in there everywhere they're at. It's like you can just get right to it. Change out your filter, put it.
Doing the RO membrane or the DI cartridge You just have to slide it forward, 2 bolts on each side, open them up, slide the filters out, slide them in. But I mean, we don't know long term, but Seth's been over a year. He's still at like 1 TDS and he runs it every day. So they'll go for a long time before the DI is extended, you know?
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. So, Jason Lehman says he needs his skid mark stickers, sir. So
yes, I have serial numbers for him. I will get them to him. Yeah, we're actually putting serial numbers on them.
Yeah, very good. But yeah, and the other thing too that I noted is just all the components are just high quality, and I think that's so important because I mean, how many times do we see people posting on social media, right? And it's just like a rolling thing, but it was the corner that got nicked, and then all of a sudden it's leaking, or it's got, you know, where something that's supposed to screw in cracked at the base, and now that's why it's coming out. And so if you're going to spend this much money on a skid, you want it to be all those the I don't want to say weaker areas, but the areas where maybe if something's going to break, that's where it's going to break. You want those reinforced, and you can tell that's what you did on the skid.
Yeah, the big thing has always been the electrical components, you know, including the pumps. But we went from relays to contactors to solenoids that are continuous use. There, and none of the stuff is cheap. It's all the best I can get. You know what I'm saying? So, there's usually not any issues with them. And I'll always, you know, now everything is push fit. It used to be hose and clamps and barbs and stuff. Now it's push fit, so it's easy to work on if you got to change a component out, you know. And the big thing has always been pump issues, and I've tried every single one of them, from $400 pumps to $100 pumps. Sometimes those $100 pumps are better than the 400, but with more flow, more pumps, more amperage, it starts to take its toll on the other components. So we'd like to think that we've got to a place where you're going to get several years out of it before you have to think about any of that.
Nice. And I just want to tell one more story because I thought this was really, really cool. So Damien, I always forget how to say the last name.
Schreckengost, yes. It's hard to say.
Schreckengost.
Yeah.
He bought a skid. It arrived, and it wasn't any fault of WCRE or anything. It just it got banged up in the shipment, and he got to his house, and it was a mess. You went out of your way to make sure that was back to where it was.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think I was more upset than he was about that. You know what I'm saying? And he sent me a picture. He's like, "This didn't go out like this, did it?" I go, "No, that is a dent from a forklift, from the fork of a forklift. Like they slid it across the floor. It was no longer on the pallet. It was no longer packaged up." Okay. And I go, "You get that back to me. I'll take care of it. And I will determine whether we're going to make a whole new frame, which case it's going to take 2-week turnaround, or I can repair what's there." Unfortunately, I just cut out some of the bad parts of it and checked everything out. And it was kind of disheartening. So now they're all going in wooden crates. Like you're going to get like this giant toy box, you know. And when Damien got it back, I started laughing. I said, "You're going to hate me when you see how many screws are holding this wood together." Because at this point they could drop it off a building, you know. It's disheartening, but like I said, it was just time. And, you know, at that point, it was the challenge of making it look like there was no damage to it, which I'm pretty sure I achieved with it.
Nice. Very good. Well, I just thought it was, I think it's a testament to you, to your character as not only a window cleaner who's well known, but just as someone who, you know, hey, you bought a product that has my name on it. I'm going to make sure that it's quality. And
right. Well, one thing my father taught me: don't do 100 things and do them all mediocre. Do 20 things and be the best that you possibly can at it. You understand what I'm saying? I'd rather do 5 or 10 things really good. Like sports, I'm not good at sports. None of the Tanners are good at sports. My kids play football, baseball, everything. Okay, but working with my hands, I've always been good with. So, and I enjoy it. So, give them the best quality that you can physically make. You know, and that's what I've tried to achieve.
Nice. Very cool. Any other questions you want to ask on that, Kevin?
No, I'm just
up
gonna,
against it here.
To support what you said. You know, that's what we built our business on, is customer service and making sure everything's right the first time. And if there is a time it's not perfect, then we fix it, and that's what sets people apart. So you can take that example, and then that's a really good business model to have.
You know, one more funny story I want to tell you is I picked up a very big estate home, like 60,000 square feet, and the house manager met with me, and I said to her, "What are you expecting?" I go, "Well, first of all, your windows are clean, so you either are looking to save some money here, or you're not happy for some reason." And he said, "We're not happy because it takes them 2.5 days to do the house with 3 people in total." And I looked at her and I said, "I'll be out of here shortly after lunch." And she kind of chuckled like I was kidding. And so then I asked her, you know, "What are you expecting from a window cleaning company?" And she looked at me in the face and said, "It's like you're interviewing me." And I go, "I am, because if we're not a good fit, it doesn't matter what you're paying me." Okay. And I've had that house for a long time, but you know, give them what they're paying for and they'll always be there for you.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Very good. Well, awesome, man. Well, thank you for being on here. There's just a few things I wanted to make an announcement for. So I just did the drawing. So the winner of the Squeegee hat is John Trotta. So
awesome.
John, I'll contact you and get your information. I'll get that shipped out to you ASAP. And the other thing too is for those who may not be aware, and I'm going to be posting more information on it this evening. There was a window cleaner. He was real prominent in the Into the Flow group, and his name is James Smith. He's been relatively quiet online for the last few years, but super nice guy. He was one of the first people who was into the flow. Just a real genuinely friendly person, helpful, always supportive, and had to fall off of a ladder this last week. And he's going to have surgery for sure on his wrist. He's getting some tests done. He's going to find out if he needs surgery on his ankle. So we set up, he set up a GoFundMe. We're going to be doing a fundraiser to raise money to help him cover some of his medical costs. WCR has already generously contributed from their window cleaner in need fund. I forget the exact name of it. Window cleaner relief fund. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's such a great thing.
They've given $5,000 towards his medical costs.
Awesome.
The IWCLF, which is the charity arm of the IWCA, we're voting right now. Hopefully, we're going to get them $4,000. Nice. So that means he's going to have about $6,000 left to cover his estimated costs. So we're going to be having a fundraiser. I'll be posting more information on it on my page, but also in ITF. And then we're just going to try and blast it out as much as we can. And we're hoping to cover the rest of the $6,000 from auction items that have been donated from a bunch of vendors. So I'll post the link to that website in my comments. Right now, there's no items in there, but there will be some by the end of this evening. And then by the time it starts on Wednesday, we're hoping that we can have everything loaded up there. So we're gonna get that going. But just if you want to help out a fellow window cleaner, even if you don't win the auction item and get the thing you wanted, maybe just think about making a donation and helping his family to cover some of those costs, because it's just him and another guy. His wife is going to do some work while he's recovering, but she's not a experienced window cleaner like him, and so they're definitely going to take a hit financially. But we want to try and help them to cover as much as they can, so they can just get by until he's back in cleaning windows again. But, so keep posted on that. But anything else you want to talk about before we let you go?
I think we're good. We need to do this again, because I still feel like I said, I yammer on, but I wanted you to question me so that you got what you wanted. But I think there's going to be some more glass restoration that if you guys want to talk. And again, anybody that's watching this or has a question about what they're going to do, what they did do when it comes to glass, can always reach out. I'll give you my time and try to hopefully not get you out of trouble that you're already in. Okay. Right. But I'm always open for that. And I enjoy, the challenges of helping someone out like that. So, yeah. And I think Corey reached out to me about this guy. I know we got Squeegee Life towels, and Kevin, like last time.
Yes. That's
whatever you guys need, if you sell them out, you need more. we'll give you whatever you want. What little I
Yeah,
can
thank
do.
you. You've always been
Yeah.
generous. Actually, all
Yeah.
Squeegee Life, folks have been real generous with these auctions, and we
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, let's help a brother out.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. All right, buddy. Anything else, Kev?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you guys all for listening. Again, appreciate it. Thank you for the support you've given. I'm really surprised and pleasantly surprised with how much reaction we get from these podcasts, especially since we're still relatively new. But we appreciate your support. Thank you again, Mark, for that advice. We will definitely have you on to talk about some more of the questions that I had.
Anytime.
Really good stuff. And thank you guys all for listening. We'll talk to you later. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.